I'd like to call the Wednesday, September 22nd Board of Public Work meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Member Romine.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin with the approval of minutes, I would like to have a moment of silence for Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What a life she lived, and let's take a moment of silence in her honor. Thank you. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Public comment, if we have any public comment here or live on Facebook.
Watch.
I do not believe we do currently. No?
Okay.
Nope, all right. Clerk Treasurer Parthune, claims approval.
Exciting for a minute. Okay, we've got September 18th, 2020 payroll in the amount of $423,075.11.
I move we approve the payroll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have Board of Works claims for Civil City for September 22nd, 2020 in the amount of $807,040.68.
Move we approve the civil city claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing,
Courtney, I
Yes.
noticed that we paid trash for August and September this month. Are we usually paying 2 months at a time or just got behind
We're
a
not
little bit?
yet. Yep.
Okay.
any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
We have sewage claims in the amount of $229,567.66.
I move we approve the sewage claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
And then finally, we have water claims in the amount of $89,485.32.
I move we approve the water claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor state by, or any discussion? All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Treasurer Parthune. So, department head reports. We have a couple department heads here live, and we're glad to see Jen Knoll, our Human Resources Director, back in action. Jen, anything you'd like to share on department heads? If you do, come to the mic. And you can pull down.
I'm just happy to be back. Thank you. Hi.
Great to see you back. Jess Bruder, and by the way, I have pulled down my mask because we have sneeze guards here. All of us are 6 foot away and are protected. Jess, anything you'd like to add as a part of department heads? All right. Tim Werner?
Good morning. As all of you are aware, we are still in the middle of our hydrant flushing. The crews have completed 419 hydrants out of the 1,115. Leaves roughly 700 to go. They're moving through the city pretty fast. Minimal complaints from the residents, which is good news. A couple other notes. We're replacing the drivers that get hit by lightning over Labor Day weekend. About $27,000 worth of drivers were fried in that lightning strike. we'll find out tomorrow when the insurance company comes to okay the claim. Lastly, we have the new SCADA wires in for the Kankakee well, which will help us with our water audit and help us keep track of our raw water supply. That's all I have. Thank you.
Chief Breton?
Good morning. From the promotions that were approved last, 2 weeks ago, last meeting, Sergeant Blake was promoted to captain and Corporal Fabia was promoted to sergeant. The two corporals will have to wait. We have promotion school coming up next month. We did interviews yesterday on 5 people for the 2 openings. A couple of them are going to be laterals. We have another lateral to interview here in the next few weeks from New Carlisle. So hopefully, body cameras should be this week. We got a glitch in the downloading system with the time. Once we have that taken care of, they'll be activated. The same thing with LexisNexis. Should be this week. We should be 100% live. And that's all I have.
Mike Frey, Street Department.
We're total patching this week, and we're also cutting trees for the sidewalk and street paving program and street sweeping.
Jeff Batchelor, Code Enforcement.
Good morning. We've been real busy. We're still a little over 3,300 violations. Since the dumpsters program has stopped, we have seen an uptick in people putting all the garbage out by the road. So we have picked up on some violations because of that. But besides that, we're just keeping busy.
Beth West, Transport.
Good morning. We have submitted our ADA annual audit to NERC. This is done every year to make sure that we're in compliance with ADA. I've also hired a dispatcher who has started yesterday and is training with their day shift dispatcher who is retiring on the 30th after 25 years of service. I've also started working on our third quarter report that needs to go to NERC, and that's about it.
Jerry Jackson, Sewer.
Hello. Couple things. I've been working with Baker Tilly on our funding for the second and third phases of lakeside funding, but I don't have a recommendation for the board yet. I will most certainly have that for the next board meeting. It's kind of important to get this all rolling. On Truesdale, the lift station for the Flaherty and Collins project, just a note that we're working on connecting that lift station into the city's fiber system so we can get communications via the new fiber system for the city. I thought that was exciting to be my first lift station on fiber. At 604 Robert Street, just to keep the board informed, there's the sidewalks and curb are sinking for like 3 blocks there. At every spot there was a lateral sewer connection, and we've got some calls from the residents to fix that. So we're gonna do a exploratory dig and try to figure out what's going on there, whether it was just poor compaction. But it was an ADA, not claim, but call saying, hey, this isn't safe, you need to fix it. So we're gonna get on that. That may be a future project for us, going in front of literally every house for about 3 blocks, tearing out curb and gutter and sidewalk because of sinking. So I'll come back with a report on what we find and what needs to be done. One last thing, I was at the bike club last night after the council meeting, and they a lot of accolades on the Stone Lake Shore bike path. Everyone thought that was great. They confessed to going down it even though it's not open. So, but they were very happy about it.
Well, from what I've seen there, they're not alone. We've seen it being used, so that's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Chief Snyder, Fire Department.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of small things. We have a small dedication ceremony planned for the new station this Thursday at 3:30 in the afternoon. And 4 of our firefighters who are currently in EMT class will be completing that on October 2nd. We'll be able to get them back on shift at that point in time. That's all I have.
Tom Casey, Plan Department.
Thanks, Mayor. Sorry for the delay there. A couple things this week. We're doing a red line of an amendment to the sign ordinance that's going to be submitted to Mark Workley for review, and then that'll go in front of formally in front of the Plan Commission. We're looking at looking into expanding the downtown historic district to include one other building, which is a secondary dye building. I've got a meeting today with Nick on engineering to basically align our projects and funding for those projects going forward and kind of create a priority list. And then lastly, we are, for the Main Street Association, we are preparing a mural application, which will have some standards that have been created by Landmarks Indiana. And that's it for me this week.
And the whole goal is to just have, and we had a meeting with the Main Street to work together, everybody, so we have a plan for downtown and take advantage of the efforts that they are providing and interest.
Yeah, so the mural program will run through the Main Street Association. That's the idea. And applications will be submitted to them, which will then be submitted to the planning department for review and approval. But with that application, there'll be specific requirements that each mural and building owner will have to comply with in order to go forward. Because it is a downtown historic district, and we just don't want to lose our designation of that by creating some murals that don't meet standards that they set.
Thank you. Bert Cook, LEAP Office.
Morning, Mayor. I have no report this morning. Thank you.
We are seeing a lot of trucks moving in and out of the Maple Lane Mall, so it seems like Rural King is moving forward.
Absolutely.
Mark Shriver, Park Department.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, as Jerry mentioned, we're seeing Lakeshore Drive get some usage. Just a reminder to people that that is still a construction area, so please use caution. In the daytime, there's a lot of activity, and at nighttime, there's still some caution to be had. But we are expecting substantial completion by mid-October, so moving forward very quickly with that project. Our tennis court renovation and construction also should be wrapping up at some point in October. We currently have our patronicity.com campaign. We can get $20,000 in matching funds from the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. So we urge people to give to that. And we have a Fort LaPlate volunteer workday on Saturday from 8 a.m. till noon. Spread safety surface, do some staining, just annual maintenance that we want to do in order to keep Fort LaPlate shining. Just rebuilt it last year and it gets a lot of use, so these annual maintenances are important. So anybody who wishes to volunteer, if you can be out there Saturday morning, supposed to be great weather. Thank you.
Nick Minnick, Engineering.
Paving is ongoing. We have several streets being paved yesterday, and will be a little bit of a break while they catch up with concrete work, and then we'll have more again next week. So the project is going well. We just an update to the board. The Clear Lake. We did sign a contract with Cardinal. The mayor signed that, and then
Nick, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? It cut out right when you said Clear Lake.
An update on the Clear Lake natural area restoration. We did sign the contract with Cardinal. The mayor signed that. They had some additional contract terms which we reviewed and also signed. Just want to keep the board updated on that. And then this could have been an agenda item, but I didn't get it on. So I would like to ask the board, the mayor and clerk treasurer
So can we hold it till the next meeting, or can we move forward? Is there a concern?
No, he's just gonna advertise, so it's fine.
Okay.
We just need permission for him to do that. Can we do that in a motion?
So,
I'll make a motion that we allow Nick Minix to go forward with this for police vehicles.
Second.
so I have a motion and a second on the police car purchase. Discussion, questions for Mr. Minnick or Police Chief Breton?
So, really, I'm thinking, Mayor, for you, what, where does this land regarding, budget issues, capital expense for the cars? Is this something we're prepared to, move forward on? I know advertising doesn't commit us in any way, but you feel comfortable right now moving forward with that?
Well, I'll let Clerk Treasurer Department talk about that, but yeah, I think they've been planning and are prepared to purchase these, which are very important.
Yeah, it's part of the budget, so,
Okay.
so we can look at the bids when we receive them and go from there.
It was included in the 2020 budget or for
It was,
2021?
yep, 2020 and 2021.
Both.
Yep.
How many vehicles are we thinking?
That's just, we need to find out from the bidding process. We
I
just
see.
need to look at
But
that.
hopefully 8 to 10. I think we're in the range of 8 to 10
Per year or in total?
total. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Nick, would you also just touch base on Weller Avenue regarding the trees? NIPSCO has been taking down the trees. They have the authority to do so, and you and especially Sarah Nimitz have been working extremely well to discuss with residents and so forth.
Yeah, so NIPSCO regularly clears corridors and maintains trees. The trees on Weller are, it's different. It's very different. Quite a few came down. They had coordinated both with the city and with homeowners. So, we're involved in the process. And the goal of any of these projects is to make sure that everybody has, reliable power. And, NIPSCO also has submitted an application to look at a project that would increase that reliability. So, just kind of keeping everybody updated, because it is quite a change to see some of these trees come down on Weller. But it's kind of a NIPSCO-led effort in order to, try and maintain a reliable power system. And again, they did coordinate with homeowners who had trees come down, and then also with the city. All of those trees will be replaced. The trees within the right-of-way will all be replaced 2 for 1, and some of those trees may actually be able to be used in areas where we need some additional tree canopy.
Is that at the cost of NIPSCO or the city, the tree replacement?
That's cost to the NIPSCO, correct?
At no cost to us, correct?
It's definitely a remarkable change in sort of the view as you're driving down Weller. So I kind of took note of that, and actually, it kind of got me started thinking about does NIPSCO in any way, or do we in any way coordinate with homeowners who plant trees in spots that in 20 years might end up needing to then be cut down for these? I just kind of thought at some point, is there a way to better plan and drive to some degree the ability for us to manage, where trees are planted in some of those areas where we've got those power lines?
Yes, so we can do that within the public right-of-way. We can't do that on private property. So some of that was on private property and some of that was within the public right-of-way. So when we select a tree, we always select it based on the appropriate species for that location. If there's power lines, there's certain trees we would not use. If there's a narrower tree lawn, there's certain trees we wouldn't use. So each tree is kind of chosen and located based on the actual ability for it to survive. So.
Okay.
Any other questions? I think that is it. All right, department heads, anybody that does not have an agenda item, have a great rest of the day. So we will move to new business. First one is a notice of gathering. LaPorte Catholic Church has asked, as you can see here, for some support of city property on the sidewalk. Anybody who would like to, Nick?
No issue with it from legal.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Any questions here allowing this to happen on Sunday, October 4th?
Do you need a motion?
I do need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we allow Porte Catholic Church to use the various right-of-ways.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
I was just curious, they say that there's gonna be 5 different locations, but they only list 4. Is the other one at a specific church?
I'm not sure. I think they thought they were walking down through the hospital as well.
Hospital, courthouse, City Hall, Boston
Boston Middle School.
Maybe some church in between.
It could be St. Pete's, but we will get that information.
I believe it's starting at St. Joe's, Mayor,
Okay,
Okay.
starting at St. Joe.
thank you on that. So I do have a motion and a second. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So this is Constitution Week, September 17th through September 23rd. I do have a proclamation I'd like to read. On behalf of the city of LaPorte, proclamation, it is the privilege and duty of the American people to commemorate the 232nd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America with appropriate ceremonies and activities. And Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Tom Dermody, Mayor of the City of LaPorte, State of Indiana, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd Constitution Week in LaPorte, and encourage our citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and the great seal of the City of LaPorte, State of Indiana, this 22nd day of September 2020, Tom Dermody, Mayor, City of LaPorte. And I think you can see here, you each have a piece of paper that goes along with that. So one of the hot topics and probably the number one asked question over the last week by residents has been trick or treat, date and time. And honestly, that has been an important topic right now, and we still have time to monitor, but the goal is with Board of Works, your support, that we're going to have Halloween trick or treat on Halloween, the goal being 5 to 7 p.m. Obviously, we'll have some standards, maybe some safety features for parents, children, and homeowners to consider, to suggest, to keep everybody safe and keep our numbers low. Any questions regarding trick or treat? Great. Conflict of interest forms.
So on an annual basis, we are required by the state to present to the Board of Public Works and Safety any city employee with a possible conflict of interest. Before you are 9 forms to approve and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city. Once they are approved, they will be recorded with the county and uploaded to the Gateway website.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. As you can see, we have several employees, council members that have alternative opportunities or additional opportunities that could be considered a conflict. Are there any questions?
I had just a couple quick questions. I wasn't sure what, AME Consulting?
That's an engineering firm.
That's, okay, is that, okay, I wasn't sure if that was, I thought that might have been the case. And then, I guess, let's see, because it doesn't, there's the one for, Mr. Snyder, Jordan Snyder, that's, I just, it wasn't clear, and it says administrative duty, is it, I wasn't clear on what that was kind of indicating.
Pull that one
It's,
up.
Oh, that's Jordan Snyder. It's a female. She was working
Oh,
at,
oops.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mayor.
No,
You
no.
were gonna speak
No,
to
no, you're
this,
fine,
but
go ahead.
She was previously employed by, LEAP, the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership, helping with accounting and administrative duties in their offices for, let's see, in the chamber. She is actually no longer there.
Ah, okay.
That has changed. So,
Okay.
They
Shouldn't be an
received
issue.
some funds from the city, so that's likely why she did that.
Okay.
And she's moved to the water department, which we're excited about.
right, and no longer has any role and is no longer being compensated by LEAP.
Okay. Thanks.
And these are readily available for public request if anybody from the public has a question or would like to.
They'll be on the state's gateways as soon as they're recorded, so they can go there also.
Any other question? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. FOP CBA Addendum Fitness Bonus.
Mayor, do you want me to address that?
If you'd like to, or I can say, this is just clarifying that the police and fire are equal in their fitness bonus at $350. It was in the police fitness bonus agreement only at $250. We've updated that to $350, and those individuals that were paid $250 this year will receive an additional $100. So everybody, fire and police, have parity to the fitness bonus.
That's great.
And this is retroactive to January 1st. This also should help with health insurance as well, because these, in order to complete this, you have to be in good shape. I think the mayor has offered to go complete it, is that right?
With you, Mr. Otis,
That's right, I'll do it.
absolutely.
So.
And Mr. Kosher.
Correct. So the
Really?
You don't want me to outshine you guys, do you?
Exactly.
All right, that's okay.
This is an amendment to the collective bargaining agreement. It requires both sides to agree. I would assume that the Fraternal Order of Police is going to be supportive of anything that's paying their officers more money. And this will go through December 31st, 2024.
Is this, do we know how, like, percentage-wise, how many officers or even fire department, I guess, really, like, qualify for these bonuses?
We would definitely like to see an improved number of participants.
You
don't-
approved a claim last Board of Works for,
Oh, there's, that's
I think
right.
it was 10 police officers completed the fitness bonus. The fire department is usually missing only 2 or 3 yeah.
That don't?
that don't
Don't,
complete
okay.
the fitness bonus.
We have work to do on the police department. We're hoping that we can set a standard there to increase the numbers. The fire have done a great job at doing it. We need to do the same for the police department.
The school corporation was very kind in letting us use their facilities to complete that just about a month ago.
Hopefully extra, $200 per, right, or, well,
Twice a year.
twice a year, so 200 per year is a little extra
All on
incentive.
top of the normal,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
now it's
700 a
$350.
year, that's not bad.
No. To do what hopefully you're doing on your own anyway,
True.
working out.
Very true.
So I do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Industrial pretreatment wastewater discharge permit renewal, Jerry Jackson.
So we have 2 permits today, renewals, American Licorice and Alpha Baking. Both customers have been long-term customers for Port wastewater. These permits regulate the strength and the constituents of the wastewater they discharge to the wastewater treatment plant. There aren't any issues with either customer. They've been good customers, and good employers in the city of LaPorte. I'd recommend that the Board of Works approve both the industrial pretreatment permits for American Licorice and Alpha Baking.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. Jerry, so can you just explain the process? What happens if out at Alpha Baking, what will the process be?
They say they give us, we're just reviewing existing facilities and plans, but originally they said, hey, here's the wastewater process we propose to have, here's these strengths. We review what's in their wastewater, how they're proposing to treat it. We say, okay, that looks fine, here's your limitations, the total suspended solids, the pH, the ammonia levels, all those sort of things, and put those limitations in a permit and say, here's your permit, please review. And we kind of come to agreement, yeah, they can live with the permit, and then it's approved by the Board of Works. The industries there's both self-monitoring, meaning the industries take samples and do analysis, send it out to lab and do analysis, and then we follow up periodically and self-monitoring, and then Matt does an inspection for each industry once a year. So that's kind of our interaction with the industries. It's good to do because otherwise there's not a whole lot of interaction between the city and some of these industries, and Matt's kind of our frontline person for that job.
Any other questions?
So, you mentioned that periodically we'll check those, like actually making an inspection. How, is that once a year, twice a year, roughly?
Well, once a year, Matt meets on site and they walk through the whole facility and talk about any problems or any changes. So there's a once a year complete inspection. Every month they mail us a report that Matt reviews, and there's always discussion back and forth on that. And then twice a year, I believe, we put our sampler in and confirm the results that they're sending us in their monthly report.
Is that, I'm just kind of thinking through, like, is it a sort of a spot, not that we expect them to do anything, you know, but with discharge, there's been so many instances sort of in history and across the country of discharges that don't meet, you know, the compliant agreement. Do we spot check those in a way that kind of almost like a surprise check? Like, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, like, is there a way that we ensure that we go in there without kind of, you know, an advance notice to double check that?
The inspection, we go through the whole facility. Those are scheduled, so they know we're coming on those.
Yeah.
When we put our sampler in, there's an outside sampling location. We go in, we just show up with our sampler and drop it in. And you can do, depending on how tricky you want to be, put a timer on the sample and it doesn't start sampling for a week, so they don't have any idea what day we're sampling. So there is a pretty good check and balance there. The IDEM delegates that authority to the city to stay on top of these industries. Some of the smaller cities don't have that authority, and IDEM does that work. We have enough industry that it's appropriate that we're doing that work. We need someone locally who understands the process. For example, Matt works with some of the industries that have stronger waste that they haul straight to our digester, and we treat it for a lower cost than it would if it was just discharge on the sewer. So you get some interactions that are positive that you wouldn't get if the state agency, who's, you know, spread very thin, was trying to do this inspection.
Thank you. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Hey, Jerry, I noticed both of these companies are food production. How many different industries do we give annual permits to?
The number is, I don't have that number on top of my head. It's somewhere around 12, somewhere in that ballpark. We've gotten some larger industries and fewer small ones now. I can get you that list. I'll send you that list because it's an interesting list to look at.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Jerry. So now
Thank you.
I will move, we have a brief budget presentation that we would like to share with the board. We presented this. Jess Bruder is going to put this together here. Oops, sorry. You'll also receive via email all the information more in-depth, but, perfect. So, this is what we presented last evening to the public, to the city council, 2021 municipal budget, and ask questions anytime through. So our budget challenges and assumptions for 2021. Number one, through the property tax caps, we are going to lose, based on the circuit breaker, 22% of our budget in 2021, which is $3.49 million. Now again, you deal with business every day. Mark, you're in business. Think about roughly continually losing dollars every year, and you can't do it for the long term, and we're gonna lose 22% of our operating budget in 2021. We also, due to the pandemic, we're estimating $500,000 reduction from the state of Indiana due to their loss in revenue. We also believe, and assuming that 10% of residents will not make their property tax payments this year based on difficulties financially. And then we also will see a decrease in local income tax for 2021 and 2022. And note that we're expecting 2022 to be a more difficult year than 2021. So we are planning for that. And to prepare for that, we also asked for the council, which they approved last night, a reduction in this year's budget between now and the end of the year of $580,000 to help us prepare for the next 2 years. And so, stating this, I also want to give credit to our clerk treasurer department, Courtney Parthune, coming in year one as the clerk treasurer, and our deputy treasurer, Joni Lehman, after 23 years, will be leaving us in 2021. We've still got some months to work, but anybody that wants to question the work that's been done here, the weeks of preparation, the weeks of work and difficulties with a big eraser saying, can we make this work, can we not? Our goal was not to lay people off or reduce our staff because we have a small amount of employees as we speak right now, and the city has been doing jobs of reducing for years. So we have to change that mentality. We can't continue to reduce and still provide services. So our 2021 budget priorities, number one, you've all been made aware, we've been losing police officers this year. In fact, when our goal and our number should be 44, at one point this year we were down to 31. They can go to South Bend, make $18,000 more tomorrow. They can go to Chesterton, $10,000 more tomorrow. We are the lowest paid police department in the area. So our goal, we increased, and we wish we could have done this across the board, but we took the most important areas of where officers were leaving, and that was police officer, patrolman, and specialist. We'd like to give everybody an increase, but unfortunately we don't have enough dollars to increase captains, assistant police chief, and police chief. We hope to address that, and our goal is to address that in next year's budget, but right now we had to stop officers from leaving. So that is one of our priorities. Number two, code enforcement. You heard Jeff Batchelor say they've already written 3,300 violations, and that doesn't necessarily mean we're charging every violation to a resident for an amount of money. But it is to say, hey, we have a new standard of pride in LaPorte, clean up. What can we do to help you do that? So we will be hiring 2 additional officers for 2021 to give us a total of 4. When you look at comparable departments, I think Michigan City has 7, and this will give us 4 so that we can split the city up into quadrants and make sure there's a focus there. And then finally, infrastructure. We are going to fight, scratch for every penny inside the budget, outside the budget, grants, any dollars that we can find to help our infrastructure in roads, sidewalks, water and sewer, and technology. We do not expect, and we're not planning for, community crossing dollars from the state for our roads next year. So our goal will be with the, wheel tax money, that we'll build those up maybe for 2 years, and then when it does come back with the, community crossings, we'll have a good portion of our local match to put out there so we can actually get some real work done when that happens. Sidewalks continually important, and water and sewer. We've talked about infrastructure. $81 million worth of work within the city. We have an aging and very old infrastructure. We can all turn our heads and ignore, and but then we have a problem potentially with water quality. We end up with a sinkhole at the clerk treasurer's house, right in front of her house. It's happening, it's real, we have to address this, and we'll be bringing ideas, thoughts to the city council for our water and sewer bills and how we want to pay for that. But that will take place in October. Budget totals, as you'll see here, the 2021 budget compared to the 2020 budget, we will actually spend less in 2021 than we did in 2020. So I want to thank our department heads, clerk treasurer's office for making those tough decisions that help us during our world pandemic and difficult times, and we will be fiscally responsible. Future goals, you know, the further projected decline for 2022, we're preparing now. But we will hit our priorities while maintaining fiscal responsibility. We will be okay. We will get through this, and we are going to grow this community and be in a good situation. Again, when we compare the circuit breaker loss, the property tax caps, Lebanon is a similar community. And I throw out there, we lose $3.49 million, they lose $30,000 to the property tax cap because they've been growing. We have to grow our community and increase our net assessment. Our goal is to be 30 by 30, have 30,000 people, 30,000 residents by 2030. We're currently and have been for the past 40 years at 22,000. We're also going to continue to raise the living standards for all residents. That's one of the biggest complaints we have heard for years, that we have to set that new standard here. And I think our code department, police department have started to set that example this year. And then strategically implement business incentives. We have to be smart. We can't rubber stamp for every business that comes and ask for a tax abatement. We have to look at it and say, how does it affect our community? What are the pay scales? We can't do it across the board anymore because those dollars take away from our assessment. We have to be smart and make tough decisions. With that, I'll be glad to take any questions, concerns about the budget. You will get all the data, more data than you've ever wanted. Any questions on the budget?
I have a few.
Please.
We're going to, or you found a way to decrease the 2020 budget by $580,000. Have you guys targeted specific expenditures or ways to do that are realistic? Okay. And then we had the CARES Act. Do we have any idea how much money we've brought in from the CARES Act in dollars that has been able to help kind of implement or pay for some of the changes that have happened?
I think that some of that did help as far as reducing the budget, but most of it was due to COVID. There were a lot of people that weren't working, and the police department was down some officers, so we were able to save in a lot of the areas we were able to save in were salaries, and other professional services and communications and transportation. Nobody's been traveling, so we were able to capture a lot from that area as well. We've been able to that's our next focus. So budgets are done. Back to reimbursements. We've been able to get about $35,000 in CARES Act money, but we don't have a lot of the projects that we're doing that we're paying for with COVID reimbursements aren't complete yet. So you guys noticed the drive-through, the infrastructure, I guess, the parking lot and actual drive-through area. are complete, but the drive-through itself, the pneumatic tube and all that kind of stuff is not complete yet. So once all of those projects start coming in, we'll be able to turn in for reimbursement for all that as well.
And I'd also like to add, from the CARES Act perspective, you hear what's happening at the federal level, the state level. There's discussion, hey, we might expand the use, what you can use it for, can you use it for revenue loss? Can you use it potentially for general fund? So you'll see not only the city of LaPorte, but a lot of communities are kind of holding on to it because we don't know what's going to happen. And then if you spend it all, and then they say, oh, by the way, so it's a tough situation. We've been in touch with Senator Young's office, Senator Braun's office, Indianapolis, just trying to legislators to say, let us know, because it's a tough scenario, especially what you see here from our budget. Now, we don't want to spend it too early if we have a sense that we're going to have some more flexibility coming. And then the other part, I think Courtney and Joni did a fantastic job of working with departments to say, hey, you've got 60% of a budget left that you only need 40%. So we're going to take that 20% and put towards next year, and just going through line item, and you'll see this, but line item after line item, there were no departments that were left untouched, and any line item that were left untouched because of their hard work.
I appreciate it. I know it is a very daunting task, and it is really hard to find a way to do that, but it sounds like you guys did a great job.
A question on the, one of the last slides you had there, Mayor, were the business incentives for businesses coming in. So, and I know those can be an important part of, incentivizing companies and taking a look at then, what's the advantage, right, with the wages or the number of jobs. So do we then, again, kind of going back to tracking, like businesses that have been provided those types of incentives and benefits, are we able to go back and find out, well, are they in fact following through or pulling through on the number of jobs or the wages that the jobs are supposed to pay? And then is there some sort of, clawback provision on some of these? Do we know where in the past, and kind of what's your plan going forward with that?
I think in October, the businesses will be coming. I know Tom Casey is working with the planner, but they will come before the city council, each member, correct? They will come. I think we have 12, I'm guessing, rough number, where the businesses that have been provided a 10-year tax abatement on certain things will come before, and that's where we will ask the questions. Hey, here's the data. Have you met with that? I'm not sure currently or from the agreements of the past if we have a clawback based on that, but it certainly sends a message.
Bert Cook is still on if he.
Moving forward. Yeah, Bert, are you on? Would you like to talk if there is a clawback, if they're not meeting those incentives?
Sure, it's at the prerogative of the city council, Mayor. Everything you've set up to this point is correct, and we do have compliance that's coming up that's handled through the city planner's office, and so that'll start taking place here shortly. And then as part of that process, if we have companies that are, the council makes a determination are significantly behind or failing to meet the promises that they've made, there are provisions in place to eliminate those incentives. And that being said, I can tell you just rhetorically, in my almost 15 years here, we've in very few cases have we ever had companies that are not fulfilling the promises that they've made in order to secure those incentives.
So part of that, though, is not even so much of where are we now with these current companies, but where are we going to go? And so Bert and I have met, and we have another meeting this week. Our goal is to provide $25 an hour or more jobs here in the city of LaPorte. And everybody's going to go, oh, you're not going to get there. You can't do that. Well, it happened. It just happened in Plymouth. Secor just signed up, and they're coming to Marshall County, or actually to Argus, and they pay $25 and $30 an hour. Now, we also have to have employees that are going to show up every day, continually show up, going to pass a drug test, to make those type of incomes. But here's the other part of this. Right now, Bert brings a business here into the city of LaPorte, into the city. where they love LaPorte, they wanna work here, they wanna set up shop here, they love everything about the city of LaPorte. What building are we gonna put them in right now? I don't think you could provide one building that's available currently. And so the other part of that is we have to look at a spec opportunity, a spec building opportunity, something that's built, something that's ready to go. When we looked at this Argus situation, they've built a 50,000 square foot building, filled it, then built another spec 50,000 square foot building, filled it, then did it repetitively, have done that. We have zero inventory in the city of LaPorte. So as much as I push Bert and the economic development team, we also have to give them the tools to be successful. And one of those are a lack of facilities. So it all flows. There's also a portion. And then we have to solve that workforce issue of getting people to show up every day, pass the drug test, and then provide a quality style of living, which I think LaPorte is that place. So it's not easy. But the good part of that, and I think Bert came up with a great idea, you can't put every competitor together in the city of LaPorte. So you can't go to Rental It, all these different people and say, hey, let's go get their competitor and put in. But maybe we should start looking at the suppliers. Who wants to be closer? And then say, what's an area that people are looking to move out of? Well, Illinois, Chicago, between the tax situation, between all the upheaval that's going on there, businesses are looking to move, and what better place than LaPorte? So we're gonna be very choosy about who we're bringing here, and so you might not see 8 businesses come paying $12, $14, $10 an hour, but maybe you'll see 2 to 3 businesses instead coming here that improve our quality of life.
Are those, you mentioned, Mayor, the situation in Argus, is that done with a developer? Did they do that in conjunction with a developer that might even put up sort of because it could be a cash flow issue, right, of putting the building up, and then, you don't know when it's gonna be filled. But, is that how they done it, or have they had investors, or how did they do that?
Bert, how would you say, do you wanna explain the spec building process here?
Or what would be the plan?
Yeah, so
what are your thoughts on the plan, right?
It's done in many different ways. The public-private partnership, I think, is the most common, where you have a private developer that's receiving incentives generally through a redevelopment commission, or city council, or both. But that's the common methodology. I've seen deals structured in many different ways, even just across Northwest Indiana. So there's a lot of flexibility on how you do that. But the tool is the redevelopment commission that's most commonly used. And it definitely involves a private investment along with generally some sort of incentive that's kind of backstopping that.
And so instead of pushing Bert so much to go gather a new business to bring in LaPorte, we have to be able to push them on something. So we've been pushing on a spec building, to say, hey, we need an inventory, make it happen, let's find something. And that's our number one goal right now, is to have a facility be built here so that we have something to show.
And I think we've made some good progress in those discussions, so keep your ear open. I think we'll have some exciting news on that in the next month.
We better, right?
Correct.
No pressure.
Any other questions regarding that, the budget? And again, it's no different than residents are facing, homeowners, businesses. We have to be as responsible as they are. Any questions about the water and sewer? That could float before you, maybe not. I think it's more city council, Mr. Frankie and others. But it's so important to our future with infrastructure that, again, just hasn't been able to be kept up with. As long as Ted prints it the right way in the paper, people will understand the need and so forth. Right, Ted? All right. Any other questions or other business? letting us off easy today. Mr. Otis, anything you'd like to add?
Nope, one citizen did ask about the spraying that was going on today. I believe that, you mentioned that last night. Could you touch, that's
Yes.
nothing the city has to do with,
The
correct?
EEE and the state has informed us that they will be spraying, and they've said that the public, anybody concerned with this, should bring their animals and should stay inside from dusk, I think, through dawn tomorrow, and they will be spraying, but it obviously is a concern, and LaPorte County has been identified, so thus, I think we've canceled all our park department outdoor activities for this evening. And something that from the state's perspective is necessary, and we're forwarding on all their information. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We are adjourned. Thank you.